Good evening. Welcome back to E20ZoneTv. I hope everyone is all well out there on this Monday evening. To my right is Tone, and he is from his new sort of YouTube channel that he's starting. Tone, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, James. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all. Tone, before we get started, because it's going to be interesting, because it's going to be two sides of the West Ham coin that we're going to be sort of discussing tonight. It might be a little bit of a debate, but we're going to end with being friends. Shout your channel out, find out where everyone can find you, mate.
Yeah. So once again, thanks, James. So I'm actually the Indian from, which is no surprise, but Indian from Cowboys and Indian the footballing show. So it's myself and a couple of guys, Dougie and Stu, and we decided to set up our own YouTube channel probably 5 weeks ago. And it was really through our, we're good mates, and it was these two, both Dougie and Stu are about 10 years older than me, and those two half go on about football, back during the war and back during the old days, what it was like and how proper footballers got up and, really stuck in a tackle and so on, unlike the footballers today. So, it always made me laugh with their conversation. So we thought, well, hey, listen, let's put it onto YouTube. They kept harping on about it. So I didn't know how to do it. Worked it out. It's people like this young man who gave us some tips. So certainly appreciate your help there, James. And lo and behold, we're here now. I think looking at it this morning, we've done 10 shows and we had 280 hours have been watched, but we're still new. We've got 100 and something, I think about 130 subscribers. So, please do visit our channel. It's called Cowboys and Indian, the footballing show. And you stick it in there and you'll find it. I think it's also in the title, correct, James?
Yeah, it's in the title. One of the boys has just put it in the chat, so go over and subscribe to Tone's channel. Go and help him out. Listen, he's a West Ham fan like me, and I remember, and I say it all the time on here. I remember when I started and I was watching. I had 6 people watching me, and the frustration and the determination to try and keep going when you've only got 6 or 7 people watching you, it can be hard. So listen, go and subscribe to the man's channel, help him out, help the boys out, and go from there. Do you know what I'm saying? Tone, let's talk about West Ham, mate. This year has been a year from hell, really. Last year we had Moyes in, Moyes out. Then we got rid of Moyes. Then we had Lopetegui. Now we've got Potter. How have you assessed this year for you?
Oh, it's like, for me, it's almost like the car was broken at the end of last season. Your car's broken down. So we decided to put a new engine in the car or a second-hand engine, put it in the car, expecting that car to be a Ferrari or whatever, as the whole fan base, or get to be a football team that we can all be proud of. And then we ended up buying some knackered out Spanish engine. No disrespect to the Spanish out there, but that engine, Lopetegui, he was sputtering along. He won that Newcastle game, which was fantastic, and picked up a couple of wins there and there, but it was just awful. So hopefully now with Potter, we're in a much better position. It's too early yet, it's not his team and it's going to take time. But something else that stuck out for me the other day, because obviously just like you guys, I listen to a lot of the other channels as well, and it's called repetition. So you had 4 years of Moyes ball. You're not going to get that out of the club in 6 months. That's going to take time. Yeah, it's going to take time, and this is the thing where we are now.
But we can't. One thing I will say, Tone, does this fan base have time? Because this fan base it can go up and down. Yeah,
it can. We're impatient.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that 3 or 4 years of frustration, we've become so impatient now that it's sometimes it can get toxic.
Yeah.
Even amongst us fans, I know some people who watch a lot of shows and they have to take time out because they get depressed. Yeah. It stresses them out, or as they come up to match day, they get stressed out. They can't handle it.
I've got to be honest. I think this year has been a bit of I'll be glad when the season ends, but like from the start, I always knew that Lopetegui wasn't the right guy. Yeah, but he was the cheap option for our owner, and we all know what our owner's like. We'll all talk about him later, but we always knew that Lopetegui was destined to fail because it was just you follow Moyes. You had the Moyes side of things where people were saying, "Well, I don't like." We've got rid of David Moyes for this geezer, and this geezer's shit, sort of thing. And then you got the other people saying, "Well, we've got to go, we've got to change and go from there." What did you make of Moyes? Like, was you like a proper Moyes out? Was you like didn't really care, or was you like it doesn't really matter? Like it's all about West Ham.
I think, I think for everyone, well, not everyone. I think for any manager, and I'm talking about manager, whether you're a football manager or it could be a manager in a company, you have an expiry date. I think.
Yeah.
And I think initially, during the lockdown, he was flying.
Yeah,
he was flying. And now, listen, I do appreciate him helping us win the Conference Cup as well, and giving us some memories. But that last season, boy, that was painful. We didn't do well in the league. We were, we just, and when we got spanked in a few of those games, and it was like a cricket score, 4 or 5 nils. That's painful to watch. And the same thing will happen to Lopetegui as well, in that when the fan base can pick a better team than the manager can, what I'm talking about as a mass.
Yeah,
there's something wrong with that manager. There seems to be an arrogance, and that was where it happened for me in the last year. He became very arrogant. He was very angry, and he didn't want to work with us. He just didn't want to work with the fans. And I'd love to know what happened in that changing room, because you get none of those players have actually came out and said he was great. He was like a father, and none of them have come out and said he was shit. It pissed me off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, it's a very tricky one with the Moyes situation. Like it really is, because you've got the younger generation, and there's a few lads that I know who are in their early 20s, best thing they've ever seen. Like, and it's hard for them to criticise it, because he's the best manager that West Ham's ever had. He's won us a trophy. He got us into Europe consistently, and the balance was like, well, what more do you want than that? Do you know what I mean? Because if we haven't seen that, and listen, I'm 38 years of age, Tone, and I've never seen West Ham this that good at that time. I know the football was shit, and listen, I remember Harry Redknapp days, and I remember individuals and all that, but as a consistent basis, we just, I never see us like that. Nevertheless, he had to go in the end, because the fan base was just so toxic. We wouldn't have had West Ham left, and we would have ended up killing each other. So it was that bad. What did you make of the appointment of Julian Lopetegui, mate?
Well, I mean, I was baffled, to be honest.
Yeah.
And obviously, he'd been in the wilderness since he left Wolves. But like all of us, we all wanted to know more about him. And I know he had a good stint at Seville, but he had a really checkered past. When he went to the national team and then left there, went to Madrid, got left there. Obviously, the issue he had at Wolves, I was like, well, hang on, there seems to be a pattern here. Have we signed, have we signed the right guy? But anyway, like everyone else in out there, we gave him benefit of the doubt, got behind him. But again, I guess we got frustrated because he just seemed to not pick the right team, in my opinion. Played players out of position, and then the owner Sullivan pissed me off, because it was right. He's got 3 more games, and then he'd win one, and then he'd lose the next, and then he'd win one, and it would just start the slow death, basically. Yeah. But do I feel for him? I mean, I did hear some rumours coming out of the club when he left, and there were comments that his English wasn't fantastic. And even at half time, he had to, get one of the other coaches to sort of, speak to the players. And then there was this ruckus with Todibo. Who else did he have a fight with? I think it was another, I can't remember now, top of my head, but there's another trouble he had. Kudus. You can't do that. As a manager, like I said, if you're a manager in business or you're a manager of a football squad, you've got to be firm, but you've got to be fair as well. Yeah. You can't show that you've lost your shit, because you start losing respect. You can't command a team with fairy. They've got to do it with respect, in my opinion.
For me, the one game that sort of swung me, and I did lose it, and I actually went a bit viral on the video, was Spurs away. when he went to
Ooh,
Spurs away and we lost 4-1, I was like, come on, Julian, this is the game this is the game that West Ham fans don't like to lose, right? It's Spurs
yeah,
away, yeah. And if we
yeah,
lose, then we can take it, but as long as we don't get hammered there, and we got absolutely obliterated there by a team who's absolutely shit, like this year, let's be
yeah.
honest. And after that, I was like, no, enough's enough. This geezer can't do it. Um, I did hear these famous words: trust the process and time to gel. I don't ever want to hear them words ever again. Like these buzzwords, your eyes don't lie. And if you know something's not right, like you said at previous, like you know something's not right, and if I can pick a better team and you can pick a better team, then you know there's something wrong, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? There's something blatantly wrong.
Yeah. What's that? You
What?
can't you can't polish a turd, can you? You know that saying, you can't polish a turd. Yeah,
Nah,
shit,
and at
shit.
the end of the day, like it is what it is. And
Yeah.
for me, Sullivan sort of played the game with the fan base to a point. And I will get onto him later on because I want to get your thoughts on Cameron Brady and all, and the thing that she came out with the other week and the concessions. Graham Potter has arrived. What do you make of him?
All right. Seems like a nice enough guy.
Mm,
Very well spoken. But he's had some challenges. You know, when you look at the Brentford game, he set up against Brentford game wasn't great.
mm,
But we lost obviously. But I thought he set up against Chelsea and the Villa games, even though we lost in that cup game. I still thought we gave it our all.
yeah.
So I think he's still working it out, and he's making some mistakes along the way, like the second half of the Leicester game.
Mm,
However, you learn from. He's learning though, where Lopetegui was just that he'd loop, he'd go
yeah.
around, he'd make a mistake, he'd loop again, make the same mistake. Where I think Potter will come true. Is he enough to really sort of propel us into that top 4 or top 6? Don't know.
Mm.
I really don't know. I mean, we've still got legacy players. Moyes' love child, Souček and Soufel. So there's some players who may not fit his model, and we'll see what happens in the transfer window.
I will get on to Souček in a minute because he's another divisive figure. For me
Scoring.
with Potter, it's a tricky one with Potter because it's how long this fan base tolerates the style of play. One thing I've learned through doing the YouTube, and I learned it with Moyes, is style of play matters at this club. But then you got to look at the other side of it. Like winning also matters and all. Like you can look good and keep losing, or you could like play shit and win. Like it's got to be a balance. Yeah, and in life there has to be a balance. You can't have one or the other. You can't have a positive
Yeah,
without a negative, etc. For
100%.
me, I look at it like this. Like against Leicester the other day, I see two sides of West Ham. I see the good side in the first half. I see the sort of let's not do anything and let's just kill the
Yeah,
game off. But then I see that with the Arsenal game. Now I can accept that against Arsenal because they're a good side, even though whatever you make of them. I can't accept that against Leicester. Yeah, but especially setting up in a way that just we're just going to win the game and that's it, especially at home. Do you know what I mean? But I kind of understand it. Let's talk about style of play, Tone. Does it really matter? Style of play at West Ham.
Oh, you see, you got me there. Goes back to your comment about balance,
Yeah.
right? If I just jump back onto that Leicester game, right? So, did Potter go right now? I need points on the table, or do I need style of play? I reckon for that game, obviously, but the team he picked, and even his second half substitutions, he picked. I just need points. So he shut up shop in the second half when we were 2-0 up. See, I want to knock him for that, but I can't because we did need results just to sort of pull us away. However, being West Ham, it's always about the style of play. Play for me, players like Di Canio. I used to love it with Di Canio, and obviously when Payet came as well. Just that type of flair and that class of really being the underdog and taking it to some of those teams. Just that for me, that was what West Ham's all about.
The only thing I will say to that, and I agree with you, because I grew up in that era like yourself, and I see it for myself with Di Canio, Berkovic, all these sort of stylistic players. Yeah. The only issue I will say to that is the moment you move from Upton Park to Stratford, you go there for a purpose to win. and you go there to be a winning team rather than a stylistic team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, I want West Ham to play the best football going, but I've got to be real. Like, West Ham ain't going to be the best in every single game, and they ain't going to be as stylistic as what we think. One thing I will say with this team is that if they can go and win games playing ugly, that's a start. Yeah, and then you can build on your style of play. Do you know what I'm saying? And go from there. But I do understand when people get the ump with it. Like, I remember last year with Moyes, people were saying, "Oh, the style of play is shit." Yeah, but he did used to get us key results in games. Yeah, this year with Potter, I think he won't last long if he continues to go down that path. If he goes 5 at the back at home against your bottom 3 next season, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I don't know about you, Tone.
Yeah, I mean, as you just said, you need a balance. You need some excitement. If you're playing against let's say a weaker team. I mean, Leicester. I've got quite a few friends in Leicester, and they're distraught at the moment. They've just been pissed off all year, to be honest. But we should have been definitely play 4 at the back on that game. We're at such advantage from a player's point of view. But it's almost unforgivable what he did do that day. And I'm not fighting his cause, but I can understand why he did it. He's still got that feel factor that he needed those points. But going forward, if we played against, and I think we've got to play Southampton yet. Still,
Southampton, Wolves, and Ipswich. We've all got to play all 3 of them teams. Now, the Southampton game for me, Tone, I expect West Ham to play 4-3-3. Like, do I really expect West Ham to play 5 at the back with wing backs? The problem is, and this is the problem we've got, this is Potter's style that we're seeing. Like, what we're actually seeing in front of our eyes right now is what we're going to see next year. I don't think it's going to be any different whatsoever. I don't think he's a man who changes. I think the only time that man ever changes is in game. I think he can change in game, but he won't change at the start of a game. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's going to be a tricky one. Obviously, he needs help from above. What players, Tone, would you like to see here next year, and what players would you like to see gone? Because I did see you say about Souček. He's a talk of the town at the minute. But what are you saying?
Yeah. So right, this is going to be controversial, and I'm going to upset some people now. But there you go. So Antonio wouldn't renew his contract. Adios.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, great servant. Amount of positions that player played in, but obviously this year or even last year, the ball get kicked up to him, it like bounce off him like a pinball. Didn't know what he was. I just found he went missing in more games. He did have a beast mode, but it was on and off. Füllkrug, he doesn't want to be with us, from what I understand. I mean, he's injured. I did like that. Obviously, when he hurt himself, he was after that ball. You can see he's putting effort in, but he obviously pulled his hamstring. But again, bad buy. Now, Kudus, I quite like Kudus. I like the Kudus of last season more than the Kudus of this season.
Yeah, but is Kudus? I just want to say this quick. Is Kudus a confidence year? Like, is it like he's just had a shit year and you can accept it this year, but the next year?
It's terrible this year. Well, it is a confidence issue because last year you'd see him take the ball and he'd spin and just run with it. What I'm seeing now, he gets the ball, he'll hold it off, he's got phenomenal strength, and then he'll lay it off back into midfield or in back passing to the defence. So it's not the Kudus that I saw. Now, could that come back? I don't know, but I think he's in demand. So I think someone may come in with a silly bid for him. So he could possibly end up going. Right. Paqueta, you got that ban looming over him. So God knows what's happening with him. Soler, I wouldn't get back. Ferguson is like a big cuddly striker to me. When I look at a striker, I want a horrible. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I've already swore a few times.
No, go on, carry on, mate.
I want a right bastard of a striker. I want someone that even his own teammates hate him, and that the other team fear him. So proper, like a really nasty person. Souček, do you know what? He still scores goals. He's a freak of nature, goes missing. And then he's still in the right place, right time, bang. But then you got to go. If you had the right player, would he score more? I'm not sure, but a great servant. What a great guy as well. So, but I think from what I hear,
do you think he's harshly treated?
Sorry, mate.
Do you think he's harshly treated, Souček?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to it when I look at football or even outside football. There's your ability and skill level, and then there's the effort. You can't question his effort. You can't get his effort and his dedication is phenomenal. Same as Soufal, but is he good enough? Has he got that? Has he got enough skill? That's the question I've got, because what I'd like us to sign is a box-to-box midfielder, someone with a lot of energy, a lot of pace. So possibly I think he'd go Ings. I got no comment on Ings. Rodriguez, adios. Mavroponi. I feel for him. I really feel for the Greek. He's physically what a great player, but it's, as everyone says, he's one mistake. He's always got a mistake in each game, and some of them could be.
And you know what? I'll say that quite openly, to anyone who's watching this or anyone who's watching this on playback. Just next time you watch West Ham play and he's playing, just watch him. Well, forget the game for a second. Just watch what he does and everything. And just even if you get a pen and paper and write it down, the time and the minute, there's always a mistake there that will lead to a key chance. And the problem is with us is he makes too many mistakes for key moments. Critical. And they're like, I remember a game last year, Bristol City away at Ashton Gate. Bang, it's a mistake from him straight away. This year, Fulham away, mistake again. It gets too touch tight with the player, gets spun. He's not a bad player, but I just think we need better than him. And do you know what I mean? So I can understand what you're saying. I really can.
Which is someone like Todibo. You look at Todibo, he just seems like he's so relaxed.
Yeah, he's too relaxed.
He's too relaxed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But confident, very confident. Yeah. Soufal, what a player he is. I mean, he's been a great servant as well. I thought, again, you can't question his effort, but I think he may end up going. His contract runs out at the end of the season, I believe. So he may end up going to Everton. And Cresswell, born again. I don't know. I was going to say left back, but he's not a left back, is he? He's been playing that back three. But you know what? He's bringing calm and experience to that defence. But his contract runs out, so I'm not sure if he'll hang on.
If someone,
that's quite a few, isn't it? That's quite a few on my list.
If someone said to you right now, though, because I've done a video this morning, right before I left to go work, I've done a video this morning, and I turned around and said about Cresswell. Yeah, is it worth keeping Cresswell for one more year here for the development of Scholes? For me, I think Scholes is going to be the first choice left wing back next year. Yeah. Wow, I honestly believe that, and I've said that for the last few months. I feel Emerson might go. I think Soufal might go, and it wouldn't surprise me if West Ham go and bring in a Carl Walker-Peters or someone of that caliber on a free transfer. He can play both sides. It works well for us. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think with Scholes, he might need a mentor just for 1 year, just so he can get the feel of being that main man. Because at present he's in there, but you've seen it with so many players. They go in there and they buckle under the pressure when they have a bad game. How's he going to cope with a bad game? Because he hasn't had a bad game yet, Scholes, which is brilliant for us. But there is going to come a time where he's going to have a nightmare game, and he's going to need that arm around him and say, "Come on, it's going to be all right." Like it's always the next game. And I think Cresswell's the guy. And people say, "I'll get rid of him, and bring in someone else." Yeah, you don't need 3 left backs at the club, right? But do you know what I mean? As a covering 4th choice left-sided defender, I don't think he's bad. I'm being honest. I don't know. He's okay. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, if you got rid of Mavropanos, got rid of Aguerd, replaced both of them players with 2 centre halves, you kept Cresswell there, you bring Carl Walker-Peters, you can play both sides. So it's cover for Wan-Bissaka, it's cover for Scholes, then you've got cover everywhere, in my opinion. What do you make of that time before we move on?
Yeah, I think Cresswell's not on Danny Ings' wages, is he?
No.
No. He's, I don't know, he's on 30, 40 grand a week. Wish I was on 30, 40 grand a week, but anyway, it's another conversation. But I think it's not just Scholes. I think he can help coach the rest of that back line. Kilman certainly seems a bit more calm. So yeah, having an old head there, even if he doesn't play that much, but helps all the defensive line become more confident. It's not even that they need to be more, it's not his job to keep them fitter or more skillful. It's that knowledge, transferring that knowledge. So yeah, 100% agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Listen, I'm looking at Scholes more than anything, because I think Scholes is an asset to West Ham. I think what he's done this season so far has been excellent. I think he will be the first choice next year. And I just think you need to listen with young footballers. They're a bit mollycoddled in this day and age. Not like years ago, you used to chuck a footballer in there and he'd do his job straight away. Some of them need a bit of time, to work in a system, in a new side. And I just think 1 year on a sort of basic wage for Cresswell to help develop Ollie Scholes, I don't think it's a bad choice, mate. A really bad move. Let's talk about the board. As you know, Tone, I'm very much against the bold, like a lot of other people. What do you make of the crap that they've come out with this year, especially Karen Brady recently?
Where do I start? So we done a recent show with Andy Payne. Andy Payne's one of the top people at Hammers United. So Hammers United is a supporters group for West Ham, and they've travelled up and down the country. In sometimes they don't even have tickets for the games. They've travelled all the way to a game and protested with the opposition that football supporters, I don't call them fans, I call them supporters. Football supporters are being treated unfairly. Season ticket costs are going up, concessions are being either removed or being unfairly treated. And we had Andy on one of our shows, and it was called Fistful of Dollars. Yeah. So funny enough, Cowboys and Indians, a lot of our shows, they've got spaghetti Western movie themes or names to them. But and as you know, this week they won the West Ham. I think it was on Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, on Thursday last week. They sort of backed down and said, right, no, won't be increasing the season ticket, which is great news, and obviously restoring concessions. But that interview from, I want to be careful because I don't want her to come and sort of give me slice my tyres on my car or something. But Karen Brady, what an horrible person she is.
She's a bastard. She's a bastard. Quite openly.
I know. How disconnect. I was going to call her Zelda.
Yeah.
She's like a scary person. But do you know? She's so disconnected from the fans. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
For someone if you're that disconnected, and if you're that well spoken, that you don't have relations with the opposition, with your own fan, go and put someone else in there. Go and hire you. So look, I'm speaking on behalf of Karen Brady. I'm James from E20, and get someone else to get Nick from the other channel.
Yeah.
But she's so disconnected, and I thought that was almost a slap in the face of West Ham fans present and past. Even the people I'm talking about fans who've passed away and supported the club for 40, 50, 60 years and are sadly no longer with us. I think it's just disrespectful. And
it totally is. Like, listen, I totally agree. Like, I know a gentleman who told me on the day on the Swansea defeat at the final game, I think it was the final home game, if I got it right, at the Boleyn. Obviously, you had the Man United game, but then you had the Swansea game where we lost 4-1. And I'll never forget, the gentleman turned around and told me, he's no longer with us. He said, James, when we leave here, it's over, mate. And he said, go into a franchise like it is. And I've sort of carried that flag for a long time. And I think I don't blame the fans, because the fans really wanted to see a successful West Ham, like we all do. Like, deep down, we all care about this club in our own way. But the main goal with everyone is we want this club to be the best that it can be. Yeah, there's no one sitting there going, oh, I don't want West Ham to be the best. Yeah, they want West Ham to be the best in their own mindset. I think the way this ownership's treated the fan base, it really took the piss out of the fan base for a long time. And if it wasn't for COVID, I think this would have happened a lot sooner. if I'm being truthful. I think COVID come at a time where they was just starting to ramp up the ticket prices, and then COVID hit, and then they realised, oh shit, like we're gonna have like we've got no fans now. Do you know what I'm saying? I thought the interview with Brady was disgusting. When she had the audacity to come out with 35,000 families, but then them families, and listen, you will know this, Tone, for doing the YouTube game. If you continue to do the YouTube game, you start speaking to people and you start interacting with people and going down a sort of path where you know people, and people will start telling you, I can't afford to go. Like, I know people in my chat who say to me, I can't afford to take my kid, James. Right, I've got 2 kids. I can only afford to take one of them, so none of them go. Like, and that's the sort of 21st century modern day where they can't afford to take their kids to see a West Ham game. Now, it doesn't matter if they earn minimum wage at McDonald's or they're earning like top dollar in London. Like, at the end of the day, you should be able to take your kids to a football match, watch a game of football, and have a day out with your 2 children. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just feel they are very much disconnected. They really are. They've all they've ever done is care about the pound note. Once they left Upton Park, they knew what they was doing. And the thing is, I can understand like Hammers United consistently like save the concessions, all the fan groups, like, because there's no one's done anything more than another. Like, even all the YouTube channels, I shout them about and all. Like they've all done their bit to say that this is not right. And I done a video the other day, and I turned around and said the only way that we learn is if we stick together on this and we do not budge until we get what we want. And thankfully, we got what we wanted. Do you know what I'm saying? And for how long it lasts, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. It could last just a year, and then we could be going back to this again. But I do feel there's a lot of issues with the stadium. If they was to sort the stadium out, then they would get the fan base back on side, but they can't because they don't own it, basically. So, what's your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Let me just go back to that parent with the 2 kids, but I'm going to just sort of digress slightly there. There are some people, there's some fans, some supporters, where, do you know what? Their highlight of their week, their life almost, is West Ham, is the match. They look forward to the game. They're talking about it after the weekend. And some of these people are really lonely. I know I belong to a couple of supporters groups, and some of them are West Ham supporters groups, and they're lonely people, and they look forward to meeting with their mate, the same person they've sat next to for the last 20 years. Well, they certainly did at Upton Park, but now he's miles away on the other side of this stadium. It's family. It's a support network. It's something to look forward to, and it got shattered with that move away from Upton Park. I feel we were almost lied to, and sold a fable, a story, and we just all went with it. And oh yeah, well, these are the times we got to go with it, because if we don't, we miss out. We need to be the big bucks to get into the Champions League. But is the Champions League what it's cut out to be? I'd rather. So here's a question. Here's a question for you. Would you rather have stayed in Upton Park than be in the Champions League?
Upton Park, mate.
See,
yeah, mate. Because the reason being is you will never forget your own. Like, I'm not being funny. People will say about the Conference League, even some of our own fans will turn around and say, "Oh, it's a 3rd-tier trophy. Who gives a shit?" It's coming from our own fans, right? Yeah. I couldn't give a fuck about the Champions League, if I'm honest. Like, Champions League doesn't bother me. What really grinds into me, and it does really grind into me, is that you've got to make it feel like home. And it just feels like a rented accommodation. It feels like basically what you're doing is you're going to a gaff where, it's got paint on the walls, but it's not yours. It's just like you're there like for an event. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think with Upton Park, I had some of the best moments at Upton Park growing up, and I had some memories that I will probably never ever forget. And I've never set foot in the LS. I can't, not while Sullivan's in charge, because I just feel very emotional about the way he's treated the fan base. And the thing is, I've said it for a long time. I said this has been coming with Sullivan, that he's going to try and take the piss out the fans. And the thing was, Tone, I'll be honest with you, if you're not a local, to the area, if you're not, say, you're not 10 mile right within Upton Park, no one really cared. No one's like no one's going, oh well, we had to move because it's better for transport and all that. I can understand that, yeah, because they're not locals. But I know locals, and I knew many locals in and around sort of Leytonstone and West Ham and the Newham area basically, and they were telling me so much shit that was going on there, where they were just being really gaslit to say this is what's going to happen. They're going to do this, do that, do the other, and then do exactly the complete opposite, and then just drop them like a knock brick. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it's. I just hope one day that we actually own the ground. We actually turn it into our home, and it's not like a franchise scheme. I feel like, I don't know about you, Tone, if I let you hand it over to you, I feel like West Ham slowly becoming a franchise, and you're taking it away from the local community, like, because West Ham's a community-based club, if I'm honest.
It's always, yes, that's a good question. Football, the evolution of football, it's not just West Ham, it's happening at other clubs as well. So you promised these riches. Well, there's riches on the pitch. You promised these great performances and these cups and so on and so forth. So they spend fortunes on these stadiums. Arsenal, the Emirates, was it $1 billion? No, that's £1 billion.
Yeah.
Spurs. I mean, look at the Spurs has got the best stadium, I think, in Europe. What awful display of a team. They've had a terrible season. I heard a couple of things this week. Well, one of them, we done a show with an Evertonian recently, Tommy, and he's actually looking forward to their new stadium. But we've warned him. We were on that show and we warned him: be careful what you wish for. It sounds a bit like Moyes, doesn't it? Be careful what you wish for. He says they got concessions at the moment, still get 25% off a season ticket. But I said, yeah, but they'll at some point they'll want their pound of flesh. And then the craziest thing I heard, and you can Google this, is Birmingham. Birmingham's got we will be doing a show with the Birmingham supporter, but Birmingham's owned by Tom. It's owned by Tom Wagner, who's a super rich guy, and it's also partially owned by Tom Brady. The American footballer. A small share of it. They're in. I mean, they should get promoted back into the Championship this season. But they're going to build £1 billion stadium in Birmingham. But I'm Tom Wagner. I'm not doing that for fun. I want something in return. You see, so all of these guys who are super rich, they're rich because they're stingy bastards. They're not rich because they're like throwing their cash around. So there's got to be a return, what I call return on investment. And that return, unfortunately, comes from the bottom, what I call the bottom of the pyramid. And at the bottom of that pyramid is all the supporters. So on the back of our efforts, they're building their empires, their stadiums, and so on. So I think it's I don't think it's just West Ham. I think it's all clubs. And yesterday we done a show, pre-recorded show, which we're releasing on Wednesday with an Arsenal, with a Gooner. And he said some crazy things to me. He said, he was at a game at the Emirates, and he had and talking about fans, he had a tourist next to him, and the tourist didn't even know which side was Arsenal.
Yeah.
The stadium's red, and he didn't even know what was what. So they don't care. They'll fill the stadium up with anybody. So right now, if you Google, you'll find tour operators who are selling the package. So you can come and visit London and see Buckingham Palace and the beautiful River Thames. And whilst you're here, you can enjoy a fabulous Premiership game at any one of these clubs. And the ticket will only cost you 120 quid per person. And someone might do that. Some Yank or someone from wherever might go, yeah, I'd like to go and watch one of those teams. So I hate to say it, mate, but our soul's been sold. And we've allowed it to happen.
I understand that. Listen, for me, how can I put this? I've got not a problem with tourist fans if they care about the club, if that makes sense. If they're a West Ham fan and they like they're passionate about the club and they will sing bubbles and they will embrace the culture of being a West Ham fan, pie and mash, jelly eels, all of that. Right. I can sort of understand that. It's the ones that I see a video the other day of a young woman, must be in her early 20s, who's a Spurs fan going and watching West Ham play, where that just doesn't compute with me. I would never
No.
dream of sitting in Spurs' ground and watching a Spurs versus Everton game. It just
No.
wouldn't. Like, there is no relevance to that whatsoever to me. And the thing is, I always say this: my biggest fear with West Ham currently right now is basically, I hope in 10 years' time we can get to grips with this fan base and basically get to grips with the stadium, because I don't want it to be I don't want it to be a ground full of football fans but not supporters.
Yeah,
Because
I hear you.
because what it is, you're losing a lot of supporters over the years, yeah. And another reason why the concessions have been buckled a little bit is because the season ticket renewals have gone right down the pan, and Sullivan's thinking to himself, I can't extend it because I want to have no one coming to the ground. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a tricky one on that one. I say it on another channel. Shout out to Early Doors Football TV. I talked to Tony on there, and Tone sort of agrees with me on this one. I think the Netflix of football's coming, and I think
Oh, yeah.
basically, and I think what it is, it's going to come to a stage where they're going to give you a season ticket to watch every single West Ham game from the comfort of your own front room, and then basically when you go to the ground, it's going to be treble, because basically it's going to be like NFL to a point, and that is quite frightening, really, because like we're not like that. Like with football in this country, we're very community based. We're very like you said, it's more. It's not. It's about the club. It's about being together, being united to a point.
It's about tradition.
Yeah.
Do you know, when I go, again, I'm a bit like you. I don't really go to London Stadium too many times, but when I do go, do you know where I go first? I go to the bowling.
Yeah.
I go to then I walk it all the way from there enough down to Stratford. Sometimes I jump on a bus, but I go into the bowling first, because it's for me. Mind you, it's not helping us. Every time I do that, we still lose. But but it's part of routine. Just on the fan thing, though, I just give you an example. About 6, 7 years ago, I was in Seoul. I went to Seoul in Korea. We had some colleagues over there, and they arranged for me to go with them to watch a baseball game. I was a fan. I was a tourist.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know what team was what. I'll be honest with you. Now you mention when people come over here, they haven't got some of them haven't got a clue if it's not a national sport for them.
What how do you see West Ham in the next sort of 5 years, mate, on and off the pitch? And what is it that you would really want to see?
Right.
What?
So let's go rebuild. The rebuild Mark II. I call it the Great Rebuild, because there was supposed to be a great rebuild this year, and that's got delayed by 6 months. Well, the whole season, to be honest now.
Yeah.
So if we talk spine, I quite talk about the spine of the team. I quite like Areola. I don't know if it's me. I mean, he's pulled off some worldies. Don't get me wrong. I wish he was a bit more commandful in that as a goalkeeper, in managing that defence line. Giving him a bit of stick. I just seem he's a bit quiet, but boy, did he pull off some saves. But I quite like him. I think Todibo, as a commander in that back line, I think he's good enough to build a defence around him. I mentioned to you earlier on, we need a box-to-box midfielder with a lot of energy, and I like a nasty striker like Diego Costa, but ramped up by Tem, or a Suarez. Do you remember Suarez? I don't think anyone in Liverpool liked playing with him either. He's going around biting opposition teams, and biting his own players as well. So
basically, then let me get this right. You want like an Arnautovic type striker?
Yeah, rear proper, get in there, and then the other players, obviously obviously you got Bowen, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which has had a blinder for us, I think, this season. We've got Somerville as well, and the rest of them. But if I said to you, because you like, well, everyone's loving Ollie Scholes. We all love Ollie Scholes. We love our own. Yeah. What if I said to you there was another 3 or 4 of those?
I think what it is with Ollie is he's always been on the cards to come through. Like I remember when he played his first ever game for West Ham away in Europe under Moyes. So he's always been on the cards, Ollie, to arrive and start. The only one out of all of them currently right now that I would like to see be in and around it is Freddie Potts.
Yeah, you
Freddie,
said that.
yeah, like Freddie Potts, I would happily have him in and around the squad next year. Not necessarily being our first choice starter, but I think him like Skulls, you bed him in and you bring him into games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think Skulls, you can sort of get away with it to a point because he's a left-sided defender, like wing back. You can sort of do that. I think in midfield is quite a key position because like that's your engine room in like in football terms. And you need players in there who, one, are good on the ball, two, can sort of run forever, and three, like find a pass to the
Oh,
attackers.
yeah.
So I'm happy with Skulls. I'm happy with Potts. I don't think Earthy's ready, mate. If I'm being real,
No.
I'm not. I'm not convinced that Earthy's going to be the guy next year. But then I look at people like Callum Marshall at Huddersfield,
Yeah.
who's doing really well, right? Like extremely well. So yeah, again, like there's two sides of this. Do you want to bring people through, or do you want to buy the best in class? I want to buy the best in class, but then I think bringing people through should be a bonus. That should be like a bonus thing, really, in my
Yeah.
honest opinion.
Well, if I'm Sullivan, what's my lowest cost option?
Oh,
Because he's a tight bastard, as we all know.
well, it all depends. All depends on what he wants to spend, though, Tone, isn't it? Really, like because like realistically, let's put it this way: what are we looking at spending in the summer this summer?
I don't know, 100 million if we're lucky.
I think it has to. I think it has to be minimum 100 million before sales. Like if we sell Mo, we've got to replace Mo. If we sell, let's have a think, Alvarez or anyone like this, we're going to have to replace these players. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think West Ham need a lot of work doing. Do you know what I mean? And listen, Potter can do it, but I just think Earthy. I don't think Earthy's there. I think Potts is there. I think one more loan for Earthy next year. Well, and I asked you, what do you think on the loan system? Because people are very much against the loan system. I'm not against the loan system. I think you loan these kids out and you develop them. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna keep them, like we did with Ollie Scars, you've got to play them. Otherwise, you do loan them out. Going back to what you were saying from an investment point of view, my opinion on the youth is this. Don't get me wrong. I don't disagree with you in that you can't just throw all the kids in there. Just let them, and that's why you need some experience around. Experience heads in there. But first one is, I made notes, mate. I made notes. Yeah. First one, low cost investment. Yeah. I don't know how much Ollie Scales cost. I don't know if he just came right through the youth system. I don't know what he gets paid, but right now his value's gone up. And Sullivan, if I'm Sullivan,
I can actually tell you how much he's on. Someone told me the other day. He's on 800 quid a week. Wow. Yeah.
How much is Danny Ings on?
125 grand.
They're saying more. So I'm Sullivan now. I'm going. I don't want to make any more mistakes and sign another 3 Danny Ings, one from Spain and one from wherever. I want some more of these on his skulls. So I think, obviously, cost is next to nothing. Low wages. I think the other thing it does, it gains respect from the fans. We look at us, we go mad. When Earthy scored that goal last season, because Moyes, I don't know, someone twisted his arm and he put Earthy on. We all went mental, absolutely mental. It also encourages the other youth players to push themselves. I tell you, it also attracts other youth players in other teams to us because they go, hang on, I can't get a shout in here at Chelsea as an example. I've had enough. I'm not going to sign a contract. I'm going to go and run across the Thames and go and play for West Ham. I also think they're fast. Obviously, they're fitter and because they're younger and a little bit more robust, but they're a little bit fearless as well. I don't know what it is with Skulls. When I saw it go up and down that wing, I never saw any nerves. I didn't see any nerves.
Nah.
Where we spoke about Mavropanos early on, shits himself every time he gets the ball.
Yeah.
Shit, what do I do? Do you know what I mean?
I think what it is with Skulls is that he's young, he's fresh, he's raw. It's all going great for him right
Yeah.
now, yeah, it's when he has a bad game, or has a bad couple of games, because it's going to come. Listen, he's not going to play great every single game. It's how you come back from that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can sit here and praise and praise and praise, but you like there will come a time when he ain't going to be as good in a game. He's going to get turned over in a game. Now, I understand what you're saying about the youth setup, and we have got to lower the age down. But I do think if these, I don't want West Ham to play players just because they're an academy of football player, because you might just play the whole youth team then, if that's the case. Like, I'd rather West Ham. See, there's two ways of looking at it, the way I look at it. When you, like, with the money that we're spending and the money that we generate, and if we're going to be a franchise, we might as well use it to our advantage. I want West Ham to buy the best players possible. So that means you're going out and buying a centre forward for 45, 50 million, and you know he's going to be good, or you're going out and buying another Lucas Paqueta or another Kudus. I'm all for that, because that's what football's all about. You want to see the best playing for your club. I don't think we get hung up on the Academy of Football. I rate it, but I do think there has to be both. I think you have to buy the best and also develop the best. And like, sometimes I think people want, oh, you just chuck him in and see how he gets on, and it's not how it works, really. If I'm being truthfully honest.
I'm Sullivan now. I'm going, James. Yeah. I hear your point. But at the same time, you want these 50, 60 million pound players. I can't put the prices up with the season tickets. True. And there's your argument. See? So, no, but you're right. I think you're right. You need those youth, but you need some experience around them as well. Some great world talent, which you can't do. Is what we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years, is blowing our load on some players. Look how many times we bought strikers and we fucked that up.
Oh, listen. Under Sullivan's reign, we've had over 100 strikers, and I think, if I've got this right, about 6 of them have worked out. Over, it's definitely over 100. I know that for certain, and I think it's 6 of them that worked out. And let's have it right. The one player who's sort of become a sort of club legend, which I will get onto in a minute, is Jared Bowen. He's not even a striker; he's a winger. What do you make of Jared Bowen as a player, Tone? And as a captain of West Ham? Do you think he's a good captain to have at West Ham, or do you think he's not the right man?
I'm going to balance this out. I think he's a great player. He's a great player. That tenacity. Again, I remember I said about that effort. You can't question his effort, and obviously he's got that skill level. So I give him credit on that. As a captain, I think he's growing into that role. He wasn't at the beginning, but last couple of games, I've seen him have a right go at the ref. Where previously, he's a very quiet lad. When I see his interviews, I don't know what he's like in and around the dressing room, but he just seems like a very passive, calm lad. But I do think he's growing into that role. And I said, I know he's pulled up a few refs and had a right go at them, which is what you want your captain to be.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those guys don't speak the best English. Like, say Paqueta gets 2-footed. You want your captain to go over and really get in the face of the ref to make sure the other player gets a red card. But it's also tough for him, because he had obviously had Declan there previous to that. Actually, who was previous to Declan? I can't remember. Who was
Noble?
Yeah, Mark Noble, Declan, and then it goes straight to Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
So he's got big shoes to fill in. I mean, it's just going to take time, like everything. Plus, he's the captain. He's the captain of a shit show. Imagine that. He's young. He's got these people over him who are his bosses, and they're a complete disaster. So he's trying to do the best that he can. And I suppose having Potter there, and I think Potter will coach him. Remember, he's still got Nobes there as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Nobes is giving him some, because Nobes used to get stuck into referees and everyone else as well on the pitch. As a captain,
even our own fans. I remember them.
Everybody didn't care.
One thing I will say, to sort of round up this video, I want you to define what a legend is at West Ham, because I have this debate with a few people. Right, I'm going to fire a few names at you. Right, a lot of the old guard will say Johnny Lyle, Greenwood. I understand that, and I respect their managers. I really do. Then people look at Trevor Brooking, Billy Bonds. Obviously, Bobby Moore speaks for itself. You know, I ain't even got to mention him. Does or is Jared Bowen a legend currently right now at West Ham, or is he going to be a legend? And B, is Mikel Antonio a club icon or a legend for you, Tone?
I think for me, Gerrard is on his way to becoming a legend. For one thing, I reckon he's already been tapped up more than once,
right?
And he's been told by other players of other clubs, "What are you doing there? What are you doing at shitty little West Ham? Don't you want to win cups? Don't you want to earn £500,000 a week like the rest of us?" And he's gone, I reckon he's gone, "No, I don't want to. I'm happy here." He's married into West Ham, obviously Dyer and so on. So that's my opinion on Bowen. It'll be heartbreak. It'll be even more heartbreak for me if Bowen goes than obviously Declan goes. I was pissed off with Declan going.
Yeah.
But Bowen's a different to me. And then in regards to Antonio, great servant. He had some great games. I think his time in football's over, in my opinion. I mean, he's broke that. He had a serious leg break. I'm not sure how well he's going to recover out of that. Is he he's not a legend?
What makes a legend for you, though, Tony? Or let's not say us. What should make a legend at West Ham? Really,
it's memories. I've got so many memories of, like, just take Paolo Di Canio, against Wimbledon. Just that insane goal when he was in mid-air, when Sinclair crossed the ball in from the right wing, and he just took it on the outside of his boot and volleyed it in. It's just unbelievable. His passion to Harry Redknapp on one of the games. Can't remember which one it was, when he goes, "That's it. I've had enough. Sub me off. I want to come off," because he's lost it.
Yeah,
a player that lost it. It's that passion. So, and then obviously we got moments like Payet. So for me, it's players that give me those moments that I idolise, and they're in my memory probably forever, or as long as I got my marbles. Whereas Antonio, all I can remember is his celebrations. I can't actually remember, when he done that wiggly worm and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I can remember those, but I can't actually remember the goals that he actually scored. But don't get me wrong, he grafted, and for a player that started off, I think, as a right back and been told to play X, Y, Z positions, he just done wherever he could. But that's my take up on it.
I think for me,
Yours.
I think loyalty comes into place straight away. If someone's been here for about 10 years and they've done good service for West Ham, I think they've got to be looked at as a sort of club icon stroke legend, in my honest opinion. I look at people like, I'm going to say Jared. I think Jared is, for me, Jared Bowen's a legend. That goal in Prague cements him as a legend. If Trevor Brooking's a legend, like, for scoring that goal in the 1980 FA Cup final, Jared Bowen's a legend, in my opinion. Yeah. I think Antonio, it's a tight one with me, but I think he's just a club icon. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't. But then saying that, he did help us win the trophy in Prague, so he's been here a long time. I think it's like horses for courses. It's like what people favour. Do you know what I mean? But I do see people saying about club legend and icon and all of that. But I think right now Jared Bowen's a legend. I think if Jared Bowen left, not this summer, next summer, it might be a bit different. But I think if he stays for the duration of his contract, which I do believe he does, I think he's here. That's it now. He's here forever. I think he wants to be the face of West Ham. He wants to build West Ham up, and being the captain does that. Then he's a legend in my eyes, mate. I'm literally witnessing a modern day legend, because I think, no disrespect to anyone, but Trevor Brooking, Billy Bonds, Bobby Moore, there's got to be a legend in this generation.
Oh, 100%.
Do you get what I'm saying? Because you can't keep going back to the last generation, because a young lad who's 20 years old doesn't know them. Like, I grew up basically seeing like Cotty, Dowie, like Dowie was shit, but Cotty, like I was born basically in the year of McAvenny and Cotty in '86. So like I've seen and I've been through it with like family members and things like that. So I can understand it. But I just think Jared's a legend, mate. Absolute legend, hands down. And I think even if he did leave, like, fuck knows what the fan base would be like. it wouldn't be good.
Meltdown. It'll be meltdown. Here's one for you, though. So I don't disagree with you on that at all. We talked about icon. And he didn't play for us for a long time, but to me, he's an icon at West Ham, which is really strange. He's Pablo Fornells.
Yeah.
Because he loved the club. He's just, you know, I know he had a sketchy year at the end, but boy, that guy just loved the club.
Yeah. See, the thing is, right, he's a bit like Marmite, that geezer, because some people love him unconditionally and some people don't. But then there's some people who will look at Angelo Bonner and I look at him and think, well, what servant he was at West Ham. Like, he arrived and he doesn't get the same, because he's not as passionate, he doesn't get the same sort of credit. It's like it's personal preference, isn't it? Really, it's like it's what you.
He was an icon. I think Oggy was an icon. You know, James Collins. He was an icon. Old Ginge. I know he still hangs around. Anton Ferdinand. I think those players, even I forgot his name. Andy Carroll. The fact that Andy Carroll turned up at Prague
says it all.
That says it all. Guy's a nutter. Do you know what I mean?
Before we come to the end, I want to talk about Prague, obviously, because it's the first time I've had you on this channel, Tone. And I wish you every success with your channel. Obviously, I've got the photo there of all the boys in 2023 celebrating. Never forget the date until the day I die, 7th of June, 2023, 10 o'clock at night. I was crying in the boozer, literally 5 minutes from Rush Green training ground. What was your feelings that night in Prague, mate?
Yeah, so I unfortunately I wasn't able to go to Prague, but I was in a boozer near where I live. Luckily, I was with some West Ham fans. Not many. There's only about 4 of us. Most of the pub where I am was full of Leicester supporters. I actually live halfway between Leicester and Nottingham. I don't live in London any longer due to work purposes. But yeah, it was a mad evening. I'd obviously been on the beer probably since 5. Do you know what? I had to watch it again the next day because I just got caught up. I got caught up in it all. I got caught up talking to too many people. Just the whole thing. But I remember the 1980 World Cup. So I was 9. It's my first memory of, and I think back in my football, that was the one that stands out the most for me. You know, I never went to Upton Park too much when I was young. It was in my later years. But I grew up in East Ham, Central Park. Yeah, I was actually born in a hospital in West Ham called West Ham Hospital, which I think is now flats, like most of Londoners, isn't it? You know, it's all London's becoming these flats, and chicken shops. But so we ended up in East Ham back in the early 70s, very early 70s, and I went to a school. And shout out to all those kids if you're watching it, Vicarage School, and then I went to Langdon Comprehensive. But yeah, that 1980 was amazing. And then the celebration down the Barking Road, round the Boleyn, Green Street was special for me. So 9 years old was like wow, that is just insane. The amount of people, the town was claret and blue, and we've had to wait ages. So to obviously win that, I don't care what cup it was. I don't care if it was Charity Shield, egg cup, teacup, whatever you want to call it. It was a cup, and it's ours. We won it that day. I also think, I mean, it wasn't the prettiest match, but Bowen scoring that goal at the end. Funny enough, James, that probably makes Bowen a legend, isn't it? Yep, that goal makes him a legend, as you said. But you couldn't even make it up. Even Moyes, when he ran out the pitch and started dancing around afterwards, and even the celebration of the players, you know, when they were singing singing songs. Oh, I just thought it was phenomenal. Wish I was there with the rest of the lads in Prague, but yeah, it was special. You mentioned you was in a boozer as well. What was it like for you?
Amazing. I was literally 5 minutes away from Rush Green. I live in Dagenham, and basically I know the boozer. Haveringwell, shout out to the Haveringwell boys over there. And yeah, I was crying. I come out, done a video, like 2 minutes, crying my eyes out. Like, and even now, I think I remember how emotional I was. I come home, I done an afterthought, and I just let it all out. Yeah, because listen, I'm like you. I've seen relegations. I've seen us go down on maximum points, and basically fall apart. I've seen this club fall apart. And what really grinds into me is when people say, "Oh, let's just go. If we go down, we'll enjoy it." Fuck off. I don't ever want to see this club ever go down, because we're better than that, and we always will be better than that. We're a big club, and we deserve to be wanting big things at this big club of ours, because this is a big club. And listen, a few of the boys from the channel, Clive, Lucas, Mitch, all went out to Prague, and they said it's one of the best experiences they've ever had. And they thoroughly enjoyed it. And getting their reactions a few days later, it was just epic. It was just epic. And do you know what? It just felt like, do you know what we said earlier about a full circle of things?
Yeah.
It was like a full circle. When you're growing up as a West Ham fan in the 90s, we were shit. I'll be real. Yeah, it was a hard watch, and we beat the good teams, lose against the shit, and that's what it was. And then to go and do that in Prague, whether it's a third tier trophy or what, that's something that we will never forget. Like, in 25, 30 years' time, no one will remember where we finished in the league that year, but they will remember 2023, 7th of June, West Ham United Conference League champions. And I'll say it quite openly. League positions are one thing, but winning trophies and making memories, they last forever, mate. They really do. Tone, any final words from you, mate, before we make a move?
No, just thank you very much. I really appreciate it. James, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe to E20ZoneTv and hit the like button. We're still, as I mentioned, we're a young channel. We're not specifically a West Ham channel. What we do is we've invited fans on from other channels. We've done a show on Man United, Leicester. That was painful for that lad. We've done one with Tommy from Everton the other day. Oh, boy, did he lay into the other side of into the red side of Liverpool. We've done an Arsenal one, which will be live on Wednesday. We're just working our way through, and it's up and down the leagues, and there's a common thread. We may support different teams, but we all love the game. Yeah, we all support I'm assuming we all support West Ham on this show, and we've got to disagree. We don't always agree, but we love the game and we love our club, as you can see by James's passion today. But no, I appreciate it, mate, and we'll have to get you on one of ours, because Dougie rambles on. He was going to be on today, and he would have gone in on the one. We would have just answered your first question now. Yeah. But and there's obviously Stu on as well. But we'll get you on one of ours, because his argument at the moment, he keeps arguing me about the old days. He says, "What's happened to the old centre forward, the old-fashioned centre forward?" He says the only club. He said Woods is the only one, Nottingham Forest. And he says the rest of them, it's all this tippy-tappy rubbish, and he hates it. So
I must admit, football has changed. And I even said it the other day to round this up. When I used to, I see a video on YouTube, I think it was, of like goal of the season, like 2002, sorry. And basically, I looked at all the goals then, and look at the goals now. It's just, I think people want to walk the ball in the back of the net. I will say that. But football has changed. It really has. Yeah. Go and follow Tone's channel. Yeah. And the link is in the title. Go and follow his channel. Go and support the boys over there. Like, subscribe to the channel. I see a few people have subscribed. Chat out to Tony from Early Doors Football TV. And yeah, go and help the boys out. Listen, I've been there, and I'm still there now. I'm trying to get up that mountain like the next person, but I don't mind helping people get up the mountain with me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm one of the people like that. Power to the people, I will say that. Anyway, from me to you, take care of yourselves this Monday night, wherever you are. Go and subscribe to Tone's channel. subscribe to E20ZoneTv, hit the like button, and I will see you again in the next one.